I've always said to anyone who'd listen, I'll do whatever it takes to lose weight, even if it kills me. No one listened. No one really cared. And honestly, I couldn't blame them. I've always been overweight. Overweight by a substantial margin. I just couldn't stop eating. Everything felt like it was spinning out of control whenever my stomach was empty. It's been like that for as long as I can remember, and for just as long I'd hated myself for it. Diets came and went. Atkins, Weight Watchers, paleo, zone, just gimmicks. They'd give me a day of hope, and then I'd wake up the next morning with a bottomless pit in my stomach. If I didn't at least try to fill it, I'd want to kill myself, and God, how I wished I could have. But no, that's not me. That's a brave person. I've never been brave. The worst part of all of it was the utter lack of hope. I dream about a future me who's lean and lithe and happy, but I knew with every fibre of my massive being that it was all a pathetic fantasy. I knew my habits. I knew how I operated. I'd be even bigger in a year. Bigger still in 5. At the rate I was going, I wouldn't be able to walk when I reached my 45th birthday, and I'd still lack the confidence to kill myself. I'd be trapped. It was the image of myself confined to my bed that catalyzed my last-ditch effort to become the person I'd always wanted to be. I'd never been a social person, but still, I knew meeting people would be a step in the right direction. So, with a bit of effort, I started visiting various online fora and chat rooms. After a while, I connected with some people. The relationships were tenuous and fleeting, but I still felt flickers of hope that had been impossible to experience before I set out on this mission. More time passed. I talked to a few people who would sympathize with my condition, people who actually seemed to care. And then I met Lee. Lee understood how I felt more than I ever thought anyone could. He even lived in the same city as me. We connected on so many levels, and I have to admit, I felt more attached to him than I probably should have. I'd never been in a romantic relationship before. I hadn't even given thought to whether I was straight, gay, or anything else. Romance and sex were just so far from my mind all my life that it took until I was 37 and talking to Lee before I even considered that I might be attracted to another man. The thought filled me with joy and fear. Joy because I felt normal. Normal people fall for other people. My fear, though, was nearly paralyzing. What if he grew to hate me? I am so hateable. Months passed. Lee and I agreed to meet at my apartment. We talked about my diet plans for weeks, and I'd finally agreed to try what he'd found so successful for his own weight loss. I remember sitting down on my toilet with the tiny, sharp wire brush and wincing as I used it on myself. When I got up, the bowl was filled with blood. Not enough for me to worry I'd done severe damage, but enough for me to be ready. Lee came over a couple of hours later. He was beautiful. His smile was wide on his thin face, which accentuated his protrusive cheekbones even further. When he undressed, I admired the craggy ravine between each of his ribs and the sharp rise of his hip bones. Then we proceeded. I cried before he started, and I cried even harder during. But after, while I cleaned myself up, I felt a level of hope and optimism that eclipsed anything I'd ever felt in my life. He held me while I slept. It's been 6 years, and I've finally gotten to a weight where I feel confident enough to walk down the street and look at my reflection in the shop windows as I pass. Lee and I spent a beautiful 4 years together before he passed. They were the best 4 years of my life, but I know I'll be seeing him soon enough. I remember stopping in front of a store this morning and looking at my trim shape in the mirrored glass. I ran my hands up and down my sides, feeling the ribs under the size small t-shirt that once belonged to Lee. I winced a bit when my fingers knocked against a lesion on my lower back, but the pain was quickly forgotten. The man I'd always wanted to be stared back from the reflective surface. I smiled. Finally, a life worth living.